Part 1. The Inheritance. I never wanted the house. Not really. When Aunt Margaret died, the lawyer's voice was brittle as he read her will over the phone. To my dearest niece Clara, I leave the Wellingham property and all its contents. I remember blinking at the wall in my cramped apartment, surrounded by unpacked boxes and a flickering light bulb. It felt like a punchline to a joke I hadn't understood. I hadn't seen Aunt Margaret since I was a kid. She was strange, distant. She smelled like lavender and dust and always wore gloves, even in summer. She owned a grand, crumbling estate on the outskirts of Dorset, half swallowed by fog and pine. A place whispered about even by adults. They called it the Mirror House. It took 2 weeks to arrange the paperwork and longer to work up the courage, but I finally made the trip. I arrived just before dusk, tires crunching gravel as Wellingham Manor loomed like a memory. Gothic arches, ivy-choked walls, windows like watching eyes. It was colder than it should have been. The housekeeper, a thin woman named Edna, greeted me with eyes that didn't quite meet mine. "You're staying the night, miss?" I hesitated. I thought I might. She nodded stiffly. "I wouldn't recommend the second floor after sundown. Just don't go to room 237. Even locked, it opens." That should have been enough to send me back to the car. But it wasn't. Something about the way she said it, like reciting a warning she no longer believed, only deepened my curiosity. I nodded, pretending not to care. "Sure." She handed me the keys with fingers that trembled slightly. "If you hear anything at all, stay in your room. Lights on." The first night was quiet. Dust coated everything, like a burial shroud. The wallpaper curled at the edges. The floorboards creaked like they were whispering. But it was beautiful in a way, grand, haunted only by time. I found the mirror the next morning. It was in the attic, under a dust sheet, 7 feet tall, gilded in tarnished silver. Its frame was carved with strange symbols, barely legible, but hypnotic. I didn't mean to uncover it. I was looking for photo albums, something to make this place feel less like a tomb, but when I pulled back the sheet, the air changed. Not colder, just heavier. The mirror didn't reflect the room exactly. The angle was off. Slightly. I blinked, it blinked. I should have walked away. Instead, I reached out and touched the glass. Nothing happened. At first. That night, I dreamed of Margaret. She was sitting in a chair in room 237. Her eyes were gone, just dark sockets dripping ink. She spoke, but her mouth didn't move. "You shouldn't have uncovered it, Clara." I woke with a gasp, heart hammering. The second night, I heard footsteps above me. Heavy, slow. I was sleeping in the guest bedroom on the ground floor, just as Edna had suggested. I told myself it was the wind, the house settling. But when I checked the time, 3:37 a.m., I felt cold run down my spine. My phone buzzed. One new voicemail. It was from a blocked number. I pressed play. "You see me now. I see you always." A woman's voice, dry, ancient, followed by the sound of glass cracking. I started researching the house the next morning. Margaret had bought it in 1962 after a fire destroyed the asylum that had stood on the same land, Wellingham Psychiatric Hospital. Closed due to excessive patient fatalities. No survivors, except one. Room 237 had been a patient cell, one reserved for self-reflective therapy. They used mirrors to treat disorders of identity. One woman, a patient named Judith Albrecht, was locked inside that room for 2 years. She never spoke again. Not in words, just in whispers. She died during the fire, or so they thought. But some said she moved into the mirror. I returned to the attic. The mirror was still there. Except now, there were fingerprints. On the inside. I tried to call Edna. No answer. Instead, I heard a voice behind me. Faint, female.
Clara.
I turned. No one. The attic was empty, but the air tasted like static. My fingers tingled as if charged with electricity. My breath showed in clouds. I turned back to the mirror. In the reflection, a woman was standing just behind me. I spun around. Nothing. I looked again. Gone. I ran. That night, I locked my door. I left every light on. But the house didn't sleep. I heard footsteps on the stairs, then soft knocking at my door, just once. And then again. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. Again. I covered my ears. I whispered to myself, "It's just old wood, it's just the wind." But then the lights flickered and my phone screen lit up. New message. Room 237 is open now. I didn't sleep. I drank coffee until my hands shook. I kept my back to the wall and stared at the door. But nothing else happened. When the sun rose, I rushed to the second floor. Room 237 should have been locked. It wasn't. The door creaked open with a soft whine. Inside, dust, shadow, and cold. And the mirror. Not the one from the attic. Another, exactly the same. Facing the bed, tall and silent. I stepped inside, barefoot. The floor felt damp, though the wood was dry. The mirror hummed. I stared into it. At first, it was me. Then not me. My face, but different. My eyes, black. My mouth, smiling. I wasn't smiling. The reflection raised its hand. I didn't. It waved. I ran. I locked the room. I even pushed a dresser in front of it. That night, my phone rang. Blocked number. I answered. Nothing but breathing. And then my own voice. Why are you running? The house wants me here. I feel it in the walls, the static in the air, the smell of burnt lavender. I tried to leave. My car wouldn't start. The tires were slashed. The phone lines, dead. I found a letter from Margaret, folded into a book on mirror mythology, dated 6 months before her death. Clara, if you're reading this, it means I failed to destroy it. You must resist her. The mirror mother. She mimics, she learns, she becomes. Do not look too long. Do not speak her name. And never let your reflection blink first. Last night, I watched myself in the mirror again. I sat in front of it, daring it to move. It didn't. Until I blinked. Then she smiled and whispered, "You're mine now." To be continued in part 2.